Hey guys, Captain Smash here in Ottawa, Ontario. So, getting a couple questions recently about bodyweight training, and is bodyweight training actually going to be good to keep your gains from the gym? So now that we're all on lockdown and everybody's going towards more bodyweight training, the topic becomes, okay, well, what can I do with bodyweight? Can I actually get muscle gains from bodyweight training? And the answer is yes. Bodyweight training is actually very intense for the body, and if you start off on a good level, you can advance quite quickly in bodyweight training. The only problem is you're gonna have a tough time getting to overload, and that's where a lot of serious trainers and exercise enthusiasts are gonna have a tough time in getting that added stimulation that you just can't get without having a barbell or a dumbbell or a cable stat. So now, but the body does not recognize what resistance training is. It doesn't know the difference between a barbell and a dumbbell and your body weight. All it knows is it's getting force produced upon by the body. So with bodyweight training, the idea is you need to increase the loading parameters around the levers that you're using. So take a regular old push-up. Instead of doing regular push-ups, you need to increase the amount of overall bodyweight load. So you would do this by inclining on the bench and progressively getting higher and higher so that you can have more of that body weight onto the actual muscles that you're trying to target, like the triceps, the shoulders, and the chest. So now that's just one example, but it works in opposite ways as well in variations of pull-ups, planches, levers, TRX rows, things like that. You just need to make it more difficult for the body, and the muscles will respond by eliciting muscle growth, as long as you're providing a lot of volume and overload to those tissues. Now, it may take you a lot more volume to get to the point where it's going to be a lot harder for the body, but that's just kind of the deal with bodyweight training. Now, finding the different levers is somewhat of a challenge, so we're going to go through some videos down below to kind of show you some of the different ways that you can challenge the body weight on different levels as your strength progresses, or if you're starting in a weaker position, you can always regress that activity to something easier that you can maintain. So now, the other thing to work on with bodyweight training is also focusing on eccentric and isometric contractions. So now eccentric contractions are being able to lower and control a load. So like if you had a bench press and you were lowering the weight very, very, very slowly, that would be an eccentric load or a negative. These work really well with bodyweight training. That way you can overload the muscles without having to add any additional load. You're just controlling the load a lot more and for a lot more time period, which also helps elicit muscle growth. And then also by performing a lot of isometric exercises. So now these, basically we're just performing a maximum contraction into something that's immovable. So imagine going up to a wall and pressing as hard as you can without it moving. You're still getting an overload in the muscle tissue because you're pressing with as much force as you possibly can, but you know you're never going to be able to move the wall, not unless you're the Hulk and you just smash right through the wall. But overall, if you're able to hold those isometric positions and adapt them in through different ranges of motion, you're going to get stronger in those ranges of motion. And research shows that about 10 to 15 degrees at each level of range of motion is going to elicit a strength response. So if I start here and I'm just isometrically holding right here, I'm going to be strengthening my upper torso, my chest, my triceps, and my shoulders down on the ground, pressing as hard as I can and just holding that position. I hold it for a good amount of time. A good amount of time is generally about 10 to 20 seconds, as long as you're able to push through maximally, and then adjusting it up about 10 to 15 degrees and doing the same sort of contraction. You can do multiple reps with these things, and it will elicit a large amount of strength gain and also muscle gain. So we can program those into a person's training program and allow them to have a really solid body weight exercise program without doing any sort of actual loading parameters at all. So now we'll get into some of the videos down below. We're going to walk through some easier variations of the push-up and more challenging variations of the push-up, ways to get into your shoulders, and then also some pulling exercises. So stay tuned for that below. If you like this video, give it a like, and if you think somebody else might need to see it, give it a share. So talk to you soon. See you in the lab.